Welcome to the Brutus Monroe channel. Annie Collins here. Today we're going to create this lovely floral card. Let's go to the products I used to create this card. The Bountiful Blooms stamp set. This is 33 pieces. You have a variety of images, this lovely girl, and 3 sentiments. We're going to use the Take Time to Smell the Flowers sentiment, the Bumblebee, a little butterfly, and the lovely florals down here. This has a coordinating die set, which is the Bountiful Blooms die set. It has all 33, actually all 30 of the images you can cut out. So I went ahead and stamped and colored and die cut my images that we're going to use today. We have the florals, and I did those 4 times, and the little bumblebee and butterfly. And I'll have the Copic colors listed in the description box below as well. We also have the Not Your Mama's cardstock. I have the card base here, which is a A2 card base, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and an extra panel at the same size, 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and about a 2" by 4 1/4 excuse me, actually by 5 1/2 piece of cardstock. We also have our Chroma mist in turquoise, bumblebee yellow, and in pearl. We're going to bring in our Raven Detail ink to stamp our sentiment. We're going to use again the sentiment, Take Time to Smell the Flowers. So let's jump into our project. First, on that little small strip, I used the bumblebee yellow. Then I'm going to spray the turquoise Chroma mist here, and I'm just going to use a little water to get it moving even more. And then I'll heat set both the turquoise panel and the bumblebee yellow panel. I like to heat set from front and back to minimize the warpage. Then I'm going to use the pearl Chroma mist with a fine detail brush just to create some splatter on both panels. This will give us a little extra shimmer and shine. I'm going to set our turquoise panel to the side, bring in our stick and stamp mat, and stick our bumblebee yellow panel onto that mat. I'm going to bring in the Raven Detail ink to stamp our sentiment. I'm going to stamp the sentiment right in the center of this little strip. I'm using an acrylic block to do this. Now I'm going to set that to the side while we adhere our blue panel onto our card base. I'm going to use some tear tape here to go ahead and adhere this. I'm also going to bring in a little bit of Barely Art glue so that I have some wiggle room to get this onto our panel. To get our panel onto our card base, I should say. So I'm removing the backing of our tear tape here. I'm going to bring in, like I said, a little Barely Art glue. This panel is a bit warped, so it's best to use, some nice strong adhesive. I'm going to do my best to get it on here as straight as possible. Then I open the card and apply some pressure from the inside to get my panel on there. Next, I'm going to bring in the flowers that we stamped and die cut, and I'm going to adhere towards the top and towards the bottom. And we're going to make this, I should have said, a landscape card. So I'm going to just run them across, just overlapping. And I'm going to make sure that that yellow panel will cover both sets of florals here. And that yellow panel will be going just across our card. So I'm going to go ahead and cut off any of that extra florals that are sticking out from the card base here. Once I do that, I can make sure that my yellow panel will fit nicely. I'm going to pop this up with some foam strips. So I'm going to place those on there. These aren't really thick foam strips, they're pretty low profile. So we'll have a little dimension, but not a lot of dimension to our card. I'm going to trim off any of this extra foam off the yellow panel, which I then adhere our yellow panel to our card base. I'm going to do my best to get this on here as straight as possible. I have to fuss with it a little bit just to get it on here just right. Once I do, then I can bring in our little Bumblebee and Butterfly, and adhere those with a little bit of, I have little foam tabs on the back of that, so I'm going to adhere those to the yellow panel. At first I thought I was going to put them within the flowers, but I like them there on the yellow panel. I'm also going to bring in the April inspiration box sequence here, which is the Bountiful Blooms inspiration box, and I'm going to go ahead and add some to our card. So again, we used our Chroma Mist and Pearl, Chroma Mist and Bumblebee Yellow, Chroma Mist and Turquoise, our stick and stamp mat, and our Bountiful Blooms stamps and dies, along with our Raven Detail ink. Like always, I'll have everything linked in the description box below. Thank you for being here, and I hope you found some inspiration.